Okay, started.
Yeah. So on Monday, we talked about what the next steps are. So uh, the next major milestone is getting to alpha. On the way to alpha, we will get to a point where the product is just good enough for people to start trying out. I've just called that as MVP. Um, Before alpha, while MVP is in progress, uh, we will have to work on the API, get it reviewed, get it accepted, and whatever changes that are brought back as feedback from the review will have to factor into the MVP development. So those two will go hand in hand. But even before that, we can do a very simple demo. The demo, I wanted it to I want it to be a development milestone rather than a demo. What I mean by that is when a when we reach a certain stage, that is when we do the demo, the code and the quality of code and whatever features we've written, I want it to be essentially production quality, rather than just trying to prototype the features required to show the demo. So we're not setting a hard deadline for the demo. We're rather setting it as as that point when we reach uh, this simple set of functionality in terms of development. So, and the reason I've chosen the demo this way is so that all the different components in the architecture that we've come up with um, will have to integrate and work for this demo to work. So this demo, I'm thinking of it as the simplest first step, which would be the ability to provision a greenfield bucket, provision access for that greenfield bucket, and then put the bucket into a pod. So we were estimating something like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks to uh, get there. Um, and in terms of what's needed to be developed for this, um, we needed a set of shared components. Obviously, the API needed to be defined, and we've built a shared controller library for the bucket star APIs. Those two things are done. A test framework, we've set it aside, but that needs to be done. So these are the set of tasks that are required for making that happen, that demo. As of Monday, we had completed the tasks that are shown in green. So we had a part of the system working, and across all three components. And as of today, we made even more progress. We made a bug fix in our shared controller library. We have Krish, who's working on the Node adapter, who's made progress in terms of putting the buckets into the pods. Now, development is definitely ramping up, and one thing that we are thinking about and that we need is we need a few more developers to work on the sample provisioner so that all of them can go in parallel. So a sample provisioner, we're thinking, would be a simple, it need not be a vendor's official provisioner, but it needs to be good enough so that people can, anyone can start trying it out and testing it out in their own environment with their own credentials. Say if it's Amazon S3, they should be able to just plug in their credentials and be able to create buckets and delete buckets using this provisioner. So I'm using this meeting as a platform to ask anyone on this call if if you'd be available to contribute to this project, you're welcome. Please reach out to me on Slack or on through the Google groups, and I'll be able to I'll be happy to onboard you. So as we start building this create bucket workflow, a few questions have come up, and they're small, simple questions, but I want to clarify them and find the answers for it. So this is what the create bucket gRPC protocol looks like today. We have a bucket name which passes in the name of the bucket, a DNS compliant name. Anonymous access mode, which is a set of default ACLs on the bucket itself, does not associate it with any particular user. And a bucket context, which is a catch-all for every other configuration that goes into a bucket, or creation of a bucket. So we were looking through all the options supported in the different cloud providers. So region is a common field that is supported by all object storage vendors. Now, so far we've been thinking of passing region as a field in the bucket context. Now, similar to region, there are some fields that are actually common, like object lock in AWS S3 has an equivalent in GCS called event-based hold. Both of them hold the object for a particular amount of time before it can be deleted. So it seems like there are certain options like these that are common across different cloud providers. There are different object storage vendors.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is true for cloud providers, but part of the target of this is on-prem storage, object storage providers. It's not clear to me that region necessarily is portable to on-prem.
So I can speak for Minayo and Ceph and Swift API. All three have the concept of a region. One of the reasons being S3 API is the standard that they follow, and S3 API has region as a first-class field. And the other reason is if they want to have active-passive setups with replication, each one needs to have a region associated with it.
Okay, so region is just defined locally, however the on-prem customer defines it.
Right.
Okay.
So, so the first question I have is we need to come up with some name. So for these options that go into the create bucket call, one, I want to figure out if we should make them Kubernetes, like if we should start having a list of known annotations or known keys for these, and have provisioners support these options or not, for instance. Or should we just leave it to the provisioners to define their own keys for whatever they support? And as far as we're concerned, it's all opaque.
Sorry, go ahead. I would leave it to provisioners because these are subject to change release over release, and keep track of those.
The S3 API is a standard,
but that standard is ever growing and ever changing.
It's versioned and it's yeah, you could say that. Yeah, the S3 v4 standard has been pretty much stable for a few years now, but I see what you mean. We'll have v5 soon, so.
So the way that on the CSI side we try to make these decisions is if a Kubernetes component needs to be aware of a specific field, then we pull it out into a first-class field. Otherwise, we'll leave it as an opaque parameter. So if we have no good reason to pull it out, we just default to opaque parameter.
So yeah, we don't. So so an opaque parameter would be a provisioner defined thing like that, right? Like what's shown on the screen.
Right.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so that was the main question that I had in mind. Other than this, actually,
and sorry, I just want to clarify. When I mean opaque parameter, I mean there's like the set of parameters that are passed in from storage class on create volume,
right,
where they're not officially defined keys and values. It's just invisible to Kubernetes and CSI. Only the provisioner and the user who sets them are aware of what the keys mean.
Right.
Visible but not interpreted.
Right.
Right.
That's the word I was looking for. Interpreted. Okay. So as we go through this, actually, so I wanted to kind of ask Jeff. Oh, so actually, before I do that, on the KEP front, I believe there's a deadline of this Friday or next Friday for the feature freeze. Is that right?
I believe it's sometime next week.
Okay. And I noticed there were some comments you left, Saad. We can address them today right away.
Yeah, and I'll try to do another pass today as well.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so give us until
I'm doing. I'm real time kind of answering your questions, and I know we still have questions from comments on the KEP, and appreciate the review. And I'm in the process of responding to a lot of your points, Saad, including some thumbs up on things that we missed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of open questions about what we're working on right now, this is the one I had. Other than this, I wanted to ask anyone else here if you had any other questions that you wanted to bring up. Okay, if not, I want to actually dive into the KEP. And try and address the open questions in the interest of speeding up the review process. I want to start looking at the comments that are left and what hasn't been addressed so far. I'll scroll all the way to the bottom and Jeff, there was a question yesterday, right, that you brought up. Someone messaged you directly on Slack. Could you maybe explain that? We'll start with that one. Jeff?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, is Kyle Batter or Bader on this call? Let me just look quick. No, I don't see him. Okay, so he messaged me reading the KEP. There's a section toward the end called dynamic provisioning. And inside there's a use case, Andrew, which I believe we tried to capture from you. So let me find the line in the KEP. Sid, can you go on to something else and I'll get the line so that we can be on the same page?
Oh, I know where the line is. I'm just going right there directly.
Okay, thanks. Great.
Here.
And it's the second bullet, I think. No, third bullet, sorry. So it's the third bullet. So Kyle was looking at that third bullet, and this is what he wrote. He said, even if there's no conflict, I know a user's access key name and a bucket they've created and or know they have access, including buckets I create and enable for cross-sharing. I can now get their secret key. So that was his comment to me. I pass that on to the folks doing the coding, and I have to admit I haven't given it any deep thought, though. I just wanted to let Sid know about it. So I guess, Sid, you're opening it up for discussion, and
Yeah.
I can repeat that comment if I got garbled up at all.
Yeah. So what he or an IAM user, you're not becoming an IAM user. You're getting new credentials, minted credentials.
But I assume there is an option for a security review. There's some folks in the Kubernetes space that do that. Because if there's a real concern here, we should probably talk through this model with them.
Yeah, I think Jordan would be the person we need to get a review from.
But I got to say, existing practice, is kind of, if you're going to automate this at all, you got to do credential downloading, right? The other alternative is you just, for every single access, you have to manually place credentials. So that's a fairly fundamental question.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it answers that. The answer is, the issue is I would say something like, this is the design of the system, and it's not really an issue. His concern. Let's move on to the next next comment here. All right, so this is in 9117. I'm not going to be able to find it here. Okay, so you asked missing bucket access, the cluster scope part of BAR. And this is where? Missing bucket access, the cluster scope part of BAR. Oh, okay. So this is just definition. Okay. Is the config
fairly minor.
Yeah, okay. Can we change this to a struct containing? Yeah. So yeah, this is something we had discussed before. Yes, this needs to be done. So today I wanted to make sure that people get a chance to go through the KEP before the freeze next week, and also leave your comments, reviews, so we can prioritize this and move forward to the next step. Um, it looks like the comments right now from Saad are fairly straightforward. Andrew, others, Andrew, especially you've been a very active part of this development. Your review would be much appreciated. So if you can take some time to go through the KEP and leave your feedback, that would be great.
And Ben.
Oh, and Ben as well. Yes, of course. Everyone really. I called out Andrew specifically because
Dynamic provisioning.
he hasn't been in the meetings lately, and I wanted to make sure that because all these weeks I've been calling out everyone. I want to make sure he's also on board.
I think we can update the KEP in the next an hour, so we should with whatever is left.
I agree.
Yeah. So yes, we can address these comments quickly. We are prioritizing, addressing comments on the KEP and getting it to a position where it looks good and can be merged. So yeah. So please take some time to review it. That's all from my side today. If anyone wants, sorry, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been. I do look forward to reviewing this. It's just that I don't see that happening between now and the deadline. Like for me, it's probably going to be later, I'll get to do a really deep review, and as part of that, I'll like implement it and have a working implementation to play with. It's hard for me to do a review if I'm not like also writing code.
Yeah.
So I apologize. I can't just like jump in it, because I would love to just give you the feedback before the review. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. In that case, we'll move forward, and if you feel like anything needs to be changed, we can always address it after.
Yeah, the good thing is that this is provisional, and we're talking about a proof of concept implementation here. And before we go to alpha, we're going to have a more thorough API review and design review. So,
right, and we'll, in the implementation, like is expected, we will likely find that we have to tweak things here and there, and so. Yeah, getting Ben's review later in the cycle is better than not at all. So we'll definitely appreciate it when it comes in.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all from me. Unless someone else wants to bring up something, we can finish the meeting now. We'll go back and work on the cap, update it, ping everyone.
Hey, you guys, before you hang up, I do have a logistics question. Can we schedule this every other week off cycle with SIG storage? Do we need it to be weekly still?
I think we need to do it for the next week, if just in case, but after that.
Okay. I'm just throwing that out there. At some point, probably we'll reduce the cadence of these meetings, but maybe it's too early.
I think the engineering meetings can happen every week, but maybe this one, bi-weekly.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know what you, Ben, Shing, think about it.
I think from my perspective, that's fine. I'll leave that decision up to you as the leads of this. Whatever cadence works best for you, let me know. I can adjust the calendar invite for you.
Okay, we can talk about it amongst ourselves too. If anyone wants to chime in with their opinion on it, especially the regulars. I'm seeing Ben, David, Aaron, Saad, Shing, Jawai, sorry, Srini, Sajan. You guys, I see your names constantly in the participants list. So if you have an opinion on it, go ahead and chime in.
So my suggestion is you probably want to get the cap merged first, and then after that you can maybe reduce that. I mean, that's up to you. I'm open either way.
I think that's a good trigger to change the cadence, Shing, is the merge.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
All right, that's all everyone. Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.